What's going on, guys? We got a big review for you guys today. Well, the HyperX Gladiate? How the heck do you say it? I don't know. Another budget controller has hit the market. This one comes in right around $35. It is gonna be the HyperX Gladiate controller. What sets this thing apart from other controllers around the same price range? Well, let's talk about it. Specs and dimensions of the controller themselves are gonna pop over here around the controller itself. That's sitting here beautiful, pretty on my screen. And well, yeah, there you go, moving on. All right, let's talk about the front of the controller first. We're gonna talk about the X, Y, B, and A button. These buttons are fine. They're standard membrane underneath of them. There's nothing special about them. They work, they feel good. What I don't like about them is I am over the color of the Xbox, where how they do the X, Y, B, and A. This controller was kind of pretty with the red. I wish they would have just did the B and the X and the Y and A the same way with the same color as B and just kind of uniform them or dark the buttons out. It just kind of throws off the color scheme in my personal opinion. Let me know in the comments below if y'all agree with that or not. The other front actuating buttons, the Xbox button, the share button, all that, they all feel fine. There's nothing special about them or anything. They work. Let's move on. The D-pad on this controller, it's weird. Like, I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. It's a little bit fatter than your typical D-pad. It's a traditional cross D-pad, by the way, and it's raised up higher, but yet it sits a little lower in the controller, but you could still notice there's a lip there. I'm not sure if like you playing fighting games and stuff, I don't play a lot of those games, would affect that or not, if that's something y'all wouldn't like because you're rolling around. I mean, you're on top of the D-pad, not on the side, but if you were to move from like your joystick to the D-pad a lot, I feel like over time you would keep hitting that, hit that, it would probably start irritating your thumb, maybe. I'm not saying it would, but it just wasn't normal and it was kind of weird, and I'll be honest, I just didn't like it. Moving on. Back buttons on this controller, they are fine, they work. Yes, this controller does have back buttons. They're ergonomically placed pretty well, in my personal opinion. I'm able to click them. They got a little bit of a clickiness to them, maybe a little bit of a hollow sound, but they do feel good and they work fine. To program these buttons, there's a button on the back, in the middle, near the top. You would just hold that. Once the button starts blinking, you would hit the button that you wanna program to the back, so X, Y, B, A, or whatever button, and it'll rapidly start blinking, and then you would just press the button on the back that you would want to program. Joysticks. I was a little worried about the joysticks on this, just because I don't like how the packaging is with these controllers. There's nothing protecting the joysticks out of the box because they just kind of have this little thin piece of cardboard that's the outside of the box, and you can kind of press in on the box and get a joystick pressing in, which means when they throw the controller around or something, the box, when they're packaging it and they're shipping it with UPS or whatever other company out there that ships packages, that step on packages and stuff. I used to work there, so I would know, but there's just no way to protect them. So I was a little worried about them, but to my surprise, they came out of the box with 0 stick drift. The joystick pulling rate out of the box is a 250 Hz, 4 millisecond every single time. You cannot overclock this controller, and the circularity, well, I'm posting it here on screen so you guys can see it because I haven't done that test yet because I forgot, to be honest with you. Now, when it comes to the tension out of the box on the joystick side of the controller, they are pretty much Xbox standard. Xbox being the kind of loosey-goosey. They're not like loosey-goosey, but based on like an 8-bit do joystick that are a little bit more tighter. Some people like it that way. I personally like it that way, but a lot of people have commented and asked this question because they like the looseness of the normal Xbox controller joystick. So if you're gonna ask that, yeah, just know that they're pretty much Xbox standard.
Totally forgot while editing this video. That's why it's future self here. Not dressed up or anything. Nice hat on though. You like that? I like it. Control freaks do fit on here, FYI. These are Xbox control freaks. They fit on there good. They actually do rotate pretty easily on there, but they're not coming off any stretch of the imagination. I'll make sure I link these down below too, but I wanted to get down here and tell y'all that. That way y'all don't ask me in the comments. All right, bye.
Now when it comes to the bumpers and triggers on these controllers, they're ergonomically great. There's no issues with them. I like how they're cut and grooved in for your fingers to sit on them very well. They don't feel too cheap. They don't feel like they're super pristine or anything like that, prestige buttons or anything like that, because I mean, it is a $35 controller for crying out loud. But what it does have that most of other $35 controllers don't have is trigger stops, which kind of gives it a leg up when it comes to this on this controller, because they have just on and off. But yeah, it's nice. The only other controller I could think of that has trigger stops around that same price would be like the Spectrum Infinity, which is a little bit of an older controller now. It does have RGB lights on it, and it is built pretty good for the most part. But I think it's closer to $40. I'll post that right here. You'll see it if it's $40 or not. I'll also post a link to that video below too, so you can go check out that review I did on it. The cable hookup on the front of this controller, the end of it for the USB-C to give the controller power, has a little bit of a lip there to hold the actual rubber of the cable itself, so you're not putting all that tension on the USB-C port, which is great because a lot of controllers don't do that. And ergonomically speaking about this controller, the controller feels pretty good in the hands. Placing it up against a normal Xbox controller, there is a little bit of a mold difference, not much, but barely, so slightly. The controller does curve out and then back in or a little bit or something like that. It's weird. You see it on the screen. I'm posting B-roll shots for you guys to look at. But it doesn't feel bad. I don't have no issues with it. Everything feels good when I'm playing with the controller. I played with controllers several hours of Fortnite and Call of Duty, and I had no issues with it. So yeah, it feels good. It's just a little bit shaped differently than the Xbox controller itself. So at the end of the day, wrapping this thing all up into a pretty package for you guys, $35. The controller market is super saturated now with these style controllers, in my personal opinion. But I'll be honest, I have no issues with this HyperX controller being amongst those things. The trigger stops on the controller kind of do, in my personal opinion, step it above a lot of those controllers in that market. The USB-C port on the front of it being built just a little bit better, in my personal opinion, and not having zero stick drift out of the box and a 250 pull-in rate. Yeah, I'd say 35 bucks. This is a decent deal for a controller, especially if you're just trying to find something. I had someone just say, hey, should I buy the Power A Enhanced controller? They literally just asked me that a couple hours ago before me recording this video, and I told them to wait because this video would be coming out. So for you, I would buy this controller over the normal Power A Enhanced wired controller that I think is 30 bucks. For $5 more, you're getting a better controller, in my personal opinion, with trigger stops on it. And you're getting all the same stuff, 2 buttons and all that good stuff. So buy this over that. I'll have links for these in the description below, and I'll pin them in the comments. Let me guys know if you're gonna plan on picking this up, and well, check out one of these controller reviews I did over here, or if you wanna check out this boom arm review, I'll post that over here too. See you guys in the next one. Peace and love.